Hello and welcome to our viewers on Facebook, on YouTube and on the TCR website. So you're very welcome wherever you are in the world. This is Mark James welcoming you to Buriram in Thailand and the Chang International Circuit for rounds 15 and 16 of the TCR International Series 2017. This is the scene from about 20 minutes or so ago where the drivers were down on the grid being introduced to the fans here at the Chang International Circuit, and you can see there's a common theme here. It is very, very warm. That guy in the suit, I don't know what the job description was, but he must be absolutely roasting. There is a fan blowing cool air into the Michelin Man suit, but even so, I really wouldn't fancy his job. Rob Huff there, putting a brave face on things, starting from way back on the grid, 14th position for this first race at the Chang International Circuit. And talking of the grid, let's confirm positions for you. His third pole position of the year, Matto Homola, will start from the front row alongside James Nash. Row 2 is Norbert Mikelic and Jean-Carl Venet. Row 3, Attila Tashi and Pepe Oriola. And row 4, Giacomo Altoe, having made the switch of teams, and Cantadi Kusiri, who replaced him. Row 5, Stefano Camini and Gianni Morbidelli, Dusan Borkovic and Dan Lloyd in row 6, Frederick Vervish and Rob Huff row 7, Munkong Satyen Tirakul and Duncan Indy row 8. Row 9, I already mentioned Rob Huff, he starts alongside Frederick Vervish. We're I think quite a way down. Munkong Satyen Tirakul, I mentioned Duncan Indy, the American driver, Charlia Nuya, the best of the TCR Thailand competitors, starting alongside Natanid Liwatana Varagul, Parasit Promsombat and Ratanin Linatufong on row 10, and then Natajak Hanjitkasen with Aurelien Panis demoted towards the back of the grid for an engine change after the rounds in Oschersleben. And the back row of the grid, David Kajaya, another engine change after qualifying yesterday. And Douglas Koo from Malaysia, another TCR Thailand competitor, starts right at the back of the grid. But there's the man who will have the pressure on him as he starts this first of our two races from pole position. Matto Homola, he was on pole position back in Bahrain. He was on pole at Salzburgring and pole here at Buriram. And before anybody points out, yes, I know he had a grid penalty in Bahrain and didn't actually start from pole, but this is his third qualified pole of the season. Jean-Carl Venet is our Drivers' Championship leader, extending by a point. Arrived here with a 2-point lead over Attila Tashi. Scored one more point than Tashi, so now leads by 3 points. 24 cars entered for this Thailand event. All 24 cars will start race 1 with, as I say, Douglas Koo from Malaysia bringing up the rear in one of the TCR Thailand competitors. Douglas Koo in the Viper Nisa Racing Seat Leon. A few unfamiliar names, not just among the TCR Thailand competitors, but also amongst the International Series runners. I mentioned Giacomo Altoe having switched from West Coast Racing to Mira. His place in the team taken by Cantadi Kusiri. Currently leads TCR Asia, Thai driver, so at his home track. And he was quickest, Kusiri, quickest of all in free practice, won yesterday. So the potential is clearly there. Giacomo Altoe qualified 7th in the Honda. There is Attila Tashi, who is 5th on the grid for both races. As I was saying, a 3-point lead now for Jean-Carl Venet over Tashi. Roberto Colciago not here in Thailand because of the broken ribs he suffered in that race 2 start line incident in Oschersleben. Stefano Camini now 11 points down from Venet. Pepe Oriola now 45 points behind Venet. Then there's a little bit of a gap, but Homola, the 5 points for pole position, has lifted him to 74 points. So he's now 81 points down on Jean-Carl Venet. 25 points, remember, on offer for each race victory. And there are 6 races remaining this season. So what can happen? Stefano Camini, 4th currently, just a point behind Colciago. In 4th place, 11 points down on Jean-Carl Venet. Race 1, I suspect, will be a matter of just getting the business done for Stefano Camini, because he will start race 2 from the front row of the grid alongside Aurelien Panis. Panis's grid position penalty because of the engine change only applies for race 1. That then sets the scene. There is our grid. We'll have our international television audience joining us very shortly. Stay with us. A very warm day here in Buriram in Thailand, a very warm welcome, literally, to rounds 15 and 16 of the TCR International Series. This is Mark James welcoming you to Thailand on this Sunday afternoon, 2:23 local time, 9:23 Central European time, 7:23 GMT. Wherever you are in the world, you're most welcome. This is the grid ahead of race 1 of 2 this afternoon. That is the Buriram International Circuit. 12 corners, 4.5 kilometres, 14 laps the race distance. And the temperatures, I have to say, feel hotter than they have since we arrived on Thursday. You saw there the high cloud, the humidity is slightly down, but it's still very hot for those drivers in the cars. Mato Homola starts race 1 from pole position, his 3rd pole position of the season. Alongside him, James Nash, winner here in Thailand last year, with Jean-Carl Venet, the current championship leader, starting from 4th on the grid. Gianni Morbidelli there alongside Stefano Camini, Dusan Borkovic, so cruelly denied a place in Q2 yesterday because of that incident in Q1. And David Kajaya, you see his teammate there, starting from the back row of the grid after an engine change after Q2, and it was precautionary, but because of the fire extinguishant used by the marshals to put out what they believe was an oil fire, it was a precautionary change and not classed as force majeure by the stewards. And so Kajaya starts from the back row of the grid. Back of all, the 24th car on the grid, Douglas Koo, one of the TCR Thailand competitors, starts from 24th and last place. But there on the right-hand side, leading the cars away on their formation lap, the Opel Astra, the DG Sport Competition Opel Astra of Mato Homola. And everybody cleanly away, no issues. So we're a few minutes away from this first Thai race, 56% humidity, so it feels a lot drier than it has done, but look at that, 33 degrees air temperature, 50 degrees track temperature. It's going to be a grueling race for all 24 of those competitors. There is Norbert Mikelic taking the place of the injured Roberto Colchargo. Colchargo having broken 3 ribs in the incident in Oschersleben, the final time out 8 weeks ago in Germany. One of 7 cars caught up in that incident at the start of race 2, and Colchargo advised by his doctors not to make the journey to Thailand, more for concern about what any other damage might cause. Colchargo, fingers crossed, will be back with us in China for the penultimate 2 races of the season, penultimate round in a month's time. But currently Colchargo still hangs on to 3rd place in the Drivers' Series. And we talk about the championship being maybe a 5, possibly 6 driver battle, but actually with 160 points still on offer, it's still very much open. Jean-Carl Venet with a 3-point lead over Attila Tashi after qualifying. Colchargo not here, still 3rd, a point ahead of Stefano Camini. Pepe Oriola, who really badly needs, I would have said, 2 podium finishes here, if not a victory and a podium. Oriola now 45 points down, and Mato Homola starting from pole position. 5 points for pole means he is now 81 points behind Venet. James Nixon, team boss of West Coast Racing. The team, of course, having seen Giacomo Altoe switch from West Coast to Mira Racing for this event and the remainder of the season, and they've elected to go with a Thai driver, Kantadi Kusiri, who currently leads the TCR Asia Series, to replace Altoe. Kusiri qualifying in 8th, 1 place behind Altoe. There you see the orange and black Honda, just at the bottom of your shot, of Aurelian Panis weaving there. Panis, an engine change for him after the previous round in Germany. David Kajaya, an engine change for him last night. So they start from 22nd and 23rd on the grid, respectively, with Douglas Koo bringing up the rear. In case you're wondering how it all works, Douglas Koo didn't set a representative lap time, and so it was a steward's decision to allow him to start the race even though he didn't actually have a qualifying lap time that was within the parameters allowed by the regulations. So then, Matto Homola leads the cards onto the start grid. And you have to wonder what's going through Matto's mind. Third time this year he's qualified on pole position. The victory still eludes the DG Sport Competition team. They came so close to it in Germany. And Homola, 3 corners from home, passed by Gianni Morbidelli, who took the perfect 55 points. And a deeply upset Homola must be wondering what he has to do to finally score the first International Series victory for the Opel Astra. Nigel Clyde there, Rob Huff's race engineer. Huff starting from 14th on the grid, saying that there were some issues with the car. And Huff powerless really to help his teammate Jean Calvinet, who is 10 places further up the grid. And Marshall's attending to Matto Homola's car. And what is the problem? Yellow flag still being waved. Just checking the bonnet pins, I suspect. But that must have caused a few moments of alarm in the DG Sport Competition garage. The green flag is waved. We're moments away from the start of this first race here in Buriram. The lights will go on together, they will go off together, and we will be racing. On they go. And we're away. Matto Homola on the right-hand side of your screen. James Nash alongside him on the grid. But look at Norbert Mikelic storming through from 3rd on the grid. Tucks in behind Matto Homola. Then it's Nash. Then it's Tashi just ahead of Venet. We watch the field through turn 1 as Tashi has to run wide. And Dammit Barry, the team manager of Mira Racing, said turn 1 is normally the crucial one, but it's turn 3, this hairpin, which will be crucial. The long drag down. Has Tashi got alongside James Nash? Indeed, James Nash holds the position. Turn 3, where Nash went off last year, but Homola off into the distance, pursued by Norbert Mikelic. The field around turn 3. And indeed, Tashi is past Nash. 2nd and 3rd positions for Mira Racing. And they're running together are the 2 West Coast Racing Volkswagens. There is Duncan Indy in the white Seat, the Icarus Motorsport car. Nash just having a peep up alongside Tashi. Now, what can Mikelic do to help his young teammate? Mikelic, of course, not in the scrap for the championship. Nash goes up alongside Tashi, but the young Hungarian driver holds his nerve. And Homola, just as he did in Oschersleben in race 2, dictating the pace. Mikelic 2nd, Tashi 3rd, Nash 4th. As they come around turn 12 for the first time, onto the start-finish straight, and Venet being edged out over the rumble strips. Alongside Nash, but Nash has the line for the right-hander turn 1. The pair go through together, and it's Venet who takes to the escape road. Not left enough room by Nash, so I suspect the stewards will let that one stick. So it's Homola from Mikelic, from Tashi, from Nash, from Venet, Nash, excuse me. And Oriola has made his way up into 6th, ahead of Altoe. Frederick Vervish is in 8th in the Audi. Dusan Borkovic has made his way up to 9th, ahead of Morbidelli and Kusiri, the 2 West Coast cars. Oh, was that Morbidelli just taking a look at the inside? There goes Nash alongside Venet. Takes the position back, but I was just going to say, had he left the door open just that little bit too much for Venet? So, James Nash back up into 4th place. Homola's lead already over a second. Kajaya also having made up 7 places from 23rd on the grid. He's now 16th. So the leading position's unchanged as Dusan Borkovic just has a look up the inside of Giacomo Altoe. That's the battle for 7th. And we know that the Alpha is strong here in Thailand. Bitter disappointment for the 2 Alphas yesterday. Borkovic just clipping the tyre stack on the inside of turn 1, breaking the car's steering, and because he had external assistance to get back to the pits, that was it. And then Kajaya, the team saying an engine fire, an oil fire, excuse me. So at least they thought they wouldn't have to change the engine, but because of the marshals and the fire extinguisher used, they couldn't risk any damage caused by the dust from the extinguisher being sucked into the car as Altoe defends from Borkovic, who weaves to the outside, just in the back of your shot there. Nash, Vinay, Oriola. So that's the battle for 4th going on. That's the scrap between Altoe and Borkovic for 7th. And the team frustrated as Kajaya makes up another place by passing Duncan Indy. The GE Force, the Romeo Ferrari's team, who build the Alfa Romeos, really hoping for big things here in Thailand after the 2 circuits which quite frustrated them at Hungaroring and Oschersleben. This is the battle we're concentrating on, and I have to say my money's on Borkovic, although there have been times where the tall Serbian has let the emotions get in the way. As long as it's a clean pass, Vinay just moving to block Oriola. I think that was more symbolic than anything else. Oriola not really close enough to make any difference, but the pressure on Altoe. He runs wide at the exit to turn 1. They go through the slight left-hand kink at turn 2, down to this hairpin at turn 3. There is Homola. Oh, Nash locks up. Runs wide, and through goes Jean-Carl Vinay and Pepe Oriola. And Nash outbraked himself, locked up for the hairpin, allowing Jean-Carl Vinay through into 4th place, Oriola through into 5th. And indeed, Borkovic has got past Altoe while we were watching that scrap. So, changes then at the top of the leaderboard. Mato Homola still leads from Norbert Nikolic and Attila Tashi, but then it's Jean-Carl Vinay in 4th, Pepe Oriola in 5th. Nash having dropped to 6th, Borkovic up to 7th, Altoe now 8th. Frederick Vervish 9th, Gianni Morbidelli 10th, and Comini having dropped down to 13th currently. 12th, excuse me, ahead of Huff. So Borkovic, a clean move on Altoe. Maybe we can see that move again if we have it as a replay. So next in Borkovic's sights, the Lukoil Craft Bamboo Sayat of James Nash. Around turn 12, the leader's on lap 5 of 14. Morbidelli just taking a look at Vervish for 9th. And Vinay has a warning for track limits. Jean-Carl Vinay gets a warning for track limits at turn 1. As Morbidelli just took a look at the inside of Frederick Vervish and indeed takes 9th place. Vervish just runs wide at turn 3. Morbidelli takes the position, so it's Morbidelli now 9th from Vervish in the Audi, who is 10th. And Morbidelli with his old teammate Giacomo Altoe ahead of him. And that's Kajaya taking a look now at Huff. That's the Now let's take a look again at James Nash locking up, running wide at turn 3, allowing both Venet and Oriola to squeeze up the inside. There's Borkovic, Nash ahead, Oriola ahead of him. But Homola still leads from Mikelic. Mikelic not particularly bothered, but it's his young teammate Attila Tashi coming under pressure now from Jean-Carl Venet. 2 championship contenders, remember, first and second, or second and first respectively, currently in the Drivers' Series. Tashi now 3 points behind Venet. And Venet waiting to pounce. And as I said earlier, Mikelic here to help his young teammate in his bid for the driver's title. But there's nothing he can do if Venet pounces and snatches 3rd place. Then it'll be every man for himself. So no point in Mikelic attacking Homola at the moment, playing the waiting game to see if he's in a position to help Tashi. Surely a matter of time before Venet makes his move. And Borkovic has passed Altoe. Kajaya just outside the top 10 now. Huff up to 10th. Another warning for track limits to car 6, which is Vervish in the Audi. Vervish has dropped down to 13th place, and I didn't see why, as we're concentrating on the battle for 3rd place. It's now a 3-way affair because Pepe Oriola is right up alongside almost Jean-Carl Venet. So Venet just takes up a look up the inside of Attila Tashi. Tucks in behind, Oriola in close attention. Borkovic behind the trio, making up ground. So there goes Homola, Mikelic, Tashi, Venet, Oriola. Dusan Borkovic then in the back of your shot. Behind Borkovic is Altoe, and James Nash is the driver that's dropping down the order. He pulls into the pit lane. We'll stay with this scrap for 3rd. Tashi squirming around as he comes through into the start of the S's. And Venet up alongside, or is he? Venet senses a gap. Just did they make contact? A little bit of a squirm there from Tashi as Oriola also attacks. Oriola up alongside Venet. This is Oriola going for 4th place, and indeed takes it. Oriola goes through. And Venet, having switched from attacker to defender in the space of a few seconds, loses out. Not what the Leopard team wanted, but Oriola now has Tashi in his sights. Mikelic also dropping back. What can he do to help his young teammate? Oriola takes a look. Now this is the scrap for 3rd, 4th and 5th. There goes Mikelic, there's Tashi, there's Oriola, there's Venet. And Homola out of sight, a lead of over 5 seconds now. There's Altoe, there's Morbidelli. Huff then and Comini rounding off the top 10 with Kajaya in 11th. And Kajaya possibly can take 10th place away from Comini as Mikelic backs off, or does he, allowing Tashi to come through and now squeezing out Oriola, but Oriola in the sandwich between the 2 Hondas. This is brilliant. They go 3 abreast through turn 3. And it's Tashi who loses out. Mikelic potentially helping his young teammate, but that really didn't pay off. Mikelic holds 2nd place, but Oriola is now through into 3rd, ahead of Venet. ahead of Tashi. This is brilliant, really good touring car racing. And Mikelic really did not either think that one through or backed off as Tashi goes through. So Tashi back up a position. But that means that Oriola now into the podium positions where he wanted to be. Can he move up a further place? As Tashi is scrapping once again with Vinay. Through the S's. Borkovic now has closed up too, so Borkovic just behind Vinay. Through goes Borkovic, up alongside, has the line. So, providing Borkovic holds his nerve, as he does, he takes the position. Great driving from Dusan Borkovic in the Alfa Romeo. He now sets off in pursuit of Tashi. Let's take a moment to just confirm the leading positions then. Mato Homola still leads from Norbert Mikelic. This is the incident. Mikelic backed off and Tashi forced to the outside of the right-hand hairpin at turn 3, allowing Vinay and Oriola to go through. And the pleasure at Leopard, I suspect, was short-lived. And the contact between Tashi and Oriola is under investigation. So, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Sorry, 4th, 5th and 6th, excuse me. Tashi, Borkovic and Vinay. Borkovic goes through, so Borkovic takes 4th place away from Tashi. Tashi coming right back though, Vinay still in contention. Now, could Borkovic get onto the podium? What an incredible result that could be. Also under investigation, we're told, the contact between Mikelic and Oriola. There is Giacomo Altoe. Just behind the 21 car is the first of the West Coast Volkswagens, that of Gianni Morbidelli, with Rob Huff in close attendance behind. Morbidelli 8th, Huff 9th. Morbidelli defends. Alongside Tashi goes Vinay. But Vinay has the position, Tashi has the position, excuse me, forces Vinay to run wide. That's not an issue because there really was nowhere else for Vinay to go. He had to take to the runoff at turn 12. Huff though, turn 1. This is the long run down to through 2. And already look, Borkovic pulling away from Tashi. Huff moves to the outside of Morbidelli. That's the scrap for 8th. Altoe ahead in 7th. And contact between Huff and Morbidelli. Huff possibly muscling his way through at turn 3. But indeed, Morbidelli holds on to the position. So, Borkovic, Tashi, Vinay, Altoe, then Morbidelli and Huff, with Comini in close attendance in 10th, and Kajaya still 11th. We thought this race was going to throw up some dramas, and it hasn't disappointed so far. Mato Homola now has a yawning lead. This is the collision. Huff possibly going for a gap that just wasn't there. And at no stage was the Leopard car ahead of the West Coast Racing Volkswagen. So now a warning flag to both Jean-Carl Vinay and Gianni Morbidelli for not respecting track limits. Now that's usually the last chance. After that, it's going to be some kind of penalty. But at this late stage in the race, it could be referred to the stewards afterwards rather than a drive-through. So then, Morbidelli and Huff, the battle goes on. Once again, they head down towards turn 3. Through goes Vinay, Altoe. Huff once again tucked up behind Morbidelli. Italian moves across. Once again, Huff looks for the gap. The pair go side to side. It's now a drag down to turn 4. The left-hander, Morbidelli, has the line. Huff moves out wide. Has Morbidelli done enough? Has Huff got his nose ahead? No, indeed, the Italian keeps the position. No further action between Mikulic and Oriola, as Comini now attacks Huff. Comini in 10th, Huff in 9th, Morbidelli in 8th. We've hardly seen our race leader over these 11 laps. But trust me, Mato Homola is still out in front, now with a lead of 5.2 seconds over Norbert Mikulic. Pepe Oriola still 3rd, Borkovic 4th, Tashi 5th, Vernet 6th, Altoe 7th. And this is the scrap we're watching. There is our race leader. And look, that gap between Mikulic and Oriola is now a second and a half or thereabouts. There is Borkovic, Tashi, Vernet, Altoe, then Morbidelli and Huff, with Comini in 10th, just behind. Kajaya, there he is in the white Alfa Romeo in 11th. Now, Morbidelli is dropping back. As I was looking at my timing screen, I've just looked up. Huff and Comini and Kajaya have all passed Morbidelli. As Morbidelli comes back at Kajaya. So Morbidelli takes, or attempts to retake one place, but Kajaya, that little 1750cc engine in the Alfa, is a bit of a beast compared to the 2-litre turbo engines in the other cars. Kajaya, has he kept the place? Comini says thank you very much. I will quite happily take 9th place, as again Morbidelli runs wide. That's Kasiri behind in the other West Coast car. And that's Dan Lloyd in the 3rd of the Lukoil Craft Bamboo cars. And I think we need to see a replay of that. So Homola's lead just under 5 seconds now, so Mikulic just closing the gap. Oriola now 1.3, 1.4 seconds behind Mikulic. Oh no, is that Homola? On the right of your screen, is that our race leader pulling away? Yes, it is. Homola, there he is at the top of the screen coming into the pit lane, and that was coming through turn 10. So our race leader is out of the race. Our new race leader is Norbert Mikulic, as Homola comes into the pits. What can you say? Once again, the Opel Astra denied victory. So Norbert Mikulic leads from Pepe Oriola by 1.3 seconds. Dusan Borkovic now into the podium places in 3rd. There he is. 4th is Attila Tashi. 5th is, that's why. That is, well, you can't think what those guys must be feeling. So near and yet so far once again. In Oschersleben, it was Gianni Morbidelli. In Buriram, it's a front puncture, a destroyed tyre on the Opel Astra. And we'll find out afterwards whether he hit something or whether it was just that the tyre let go. But the cruelest of blows for Mato Homola, as we watch Attila Tashi battling with Jean-Carl Vernet, as the pair have done for most of this race. This is the scrap for 4th place. Tashi currently 4th, Vernet still 5th at the moment. Then Rob Huff behind. There is Huff. There was Giacomo Altoe. So then, to start the 14th and final lap, there is our race leader, Norbert Mikulic. There is Pepe Oriola, who's pulling over, who's running slowly and then pulled over. Dusan Borkovic goes 2nd, Tashi goes 3rd, Vernet goes 4th. Unbelievable. What on earth is happening in the final stages of this race? First we lose Mato Homola, then Pepe Oriola pulls over from third position, then second position, and it was the podium finish he so desperately wanted. But indeed, it's another cruel blow for Pepe Oriola, who pulls up. Kajaya is now up into 8th, passing Dan Lloyd. So this now the scrap for the final podium position. Tashi now 3rd, Jean-Carl Venet 4th, Huff is 5th, Giacomo Alto is 6th, Stefano Camini is up to 7th, Kajaya 8th, Dan Lloyd 9th, and Morbidelli still 10th. And this is it, last lap, last chance, Jean-Carl. If you're going to do anything about Tashi, it needs to be in the next 3 or 4 corners. Through the S's, through turn 4, through turn 7, excuse me. The double right-hander at turns 8 and 9. And it appears as though Tashi has got the measure of Jean-Carl Venet, which makes the championship position very, very interesting. This is the run down to turn 12. Oh, Venet goes up the inside. He has a look. He touches Tashi. Tashi holds the position. The pair take to the runoff area, but indeed, Tashi finally just manages to edge over the line in 3rd place, just when they thought that Jean-Carl Venet had done it in that final corner. Whether the stewards will have anything to say about that, I don't know. But Norbert Mikelic and a delighted Mira Racing team, 1st and 3rd for the team. Mikelic 1st, Tashi 3rd, and Dusan Borkovic. You have to say, if it hadn't been for that tyre stack in Q1 yesterday, Dusan Borkovic would have almost certainly won this first race in Thailand. But there is absolute delight from Yas and from Mira Racing. David Bari, you saw there, the team manager. Maurizio Ambroghetti from Yas. Maurizio, the A in Yas, one of the 3 founding partners of the team that builds the Honda Civics. I think we all need to get our breath back after that race. And indeed, confirmation on my timing screen that the contact between Jean-Carl Venet and Attila Tashi is under investigation. A hugely disappointed Pepe Oriola, you saw there. What on earth happened to the Seat? But brilliant, brilliant result for Mira Racing. Norbert Mikelic takes his first win in the TCR International Series after competing in Hungary, taking pole position, and then playing the perfect teammate in race 1 to allow Attila Tashi to take his first victory. Tashi then repeated that win in race 2. And here it is again, the final corner. You have to say, just as in the Huff Morbidelli incident, there really wasn't a gap there, Jean-Carl. Was that frustration, I wonder? But Tashi crossing the line, millimeters it would seem. And there is Mato Homola. You have to feel for him, for DG Sport Competition, for Kissling Motorsport, for Opel, who are so, so close to getting their first win. And with a lead of over 5 seconds, you'd have thought that that win was theirs. But a cruel game, motorsport, as I'm sure you're aware, as Dan Lloyd has also discovered. His 9th place finish is safe, but he's picked up a puncture on the slowing down lap. But there is Norbert Mikelic celebrating, punching the air, thumbs up for the camera, and leaving fingerprints, glove prints all over the lens. We don't mind. Congratulations, Norby. He moves across to congratulate his young teammate, Attila Tashi. And there is congratulations from Dusan Borkovic's wife, Andriana. And Norby, I think we'd like a chat with you if possible. I know he's not familiar with the way that TCR International does things, but let's see if we can bring him back down to our camera. And our reporter, Letsiri Boonmi, hopefully will have a quick chat with Norbert. There is Dusan Borkovic accepting the hugs and cheers from the Romeo Ferrari's G-Force team, and of course a kiss from Andriana. Wow. Norbert Mikelic then takes the victory by 3.7 seconds from Dusan Borkovic. Tashi is third after that incredible last corner incident with Jean-Carl Venet. Rob Huff finishes fifth. Giacomo Alto is sixth. Stefano Comini a relieved seventh, ahead of Kajaya, Lloyd, and Morbidelli, who picks up a single point for finishing 10th. Outside the points, it's Frederick Vivish in the Audi, Kantadi Kasiri, Duncan Indy in the Seat. It's Munkong Satyanthirakul, Cheria Nuya, and then a host of the TCR Thailand competitors. And in terms of non-finishers, Pepe Oriola, wow. Also, it's Homola, a non-finish for him. So cruel. So then, let's head back down to the pit lane and let's hear from our race winner.
Give a little recap of what just went down right now.
Yeah, it was a super exciting race. I had some trouble at the start because my water temperature went a bit high, so I was confused. But anyway, it was enough to get James and then to move on to P2. And then I saw that we have similar pace with Mato. I also saw that he was pushing like crazy to get away. So also for me it was a difficult decision when to help Attila, because I really wanted to put some pressure on Mato. But in the end we have two cars on the podium, important points for the championships for Attica and for Mira as well. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, I can see that right here.
Thanks.
Celebrating the victory. So the Drivers' Championship lead now shared between Attila Tashi and Jean-Carl Venet. Tashi, though, because of the number of victories, moves ahead. Comini is up to third, ahead of Colchago. Let's hope that Roberto can rejoin us in China. And Pepe Oriola, bitterly disappointed, is now 57 points down. Dusan Borkovic, though, up to sixth place, 67 points down on Tashi and Venet. I wonder what can happen in race 2 here in Thailand. Norbert Mikelic from absolutely nowhere. Only his third race in TCR International, already up into 12th place. Huff up to 13th with a 113-point gap between himself and his teammate Jean-Carl Venet. Dropping down are Lloyd. Of course, we're not going to see Hugo Valente again. He's retired from the sport. And that was Giacomo Altoe's name that we saw there also, dropping down slightly. Well, what an interesting race. I'm also seeing on my timing screen that Jean-Carl Venet has been summoned to the stewards after race 2. And so we've still one more race to come in a little over an hour's time here in Buriram. But Jean-Carl Venet, for that contact with Attila Tashi in the final corner of the race, has potentially a case to answer against the stewards. I won't prejudge things, but the stewards would like a cosy chat with Mr. Venet after race 2. So then, that was race 1 here in Buriram, an exciting race. I suspect we're in for more of the same in a little over an hour's time. Join us then.